Hello and welcome to the BTF podcast. We are live and it's the 19th of October 2020 and we have almost a full house today. We have 5 people, which I think is a BTF record in our 53 shows. This takes the lead by 1. I think we've always had 4. 5 people in the studio today. We may even get 6 at some point. Fingers crossed that a record will be broken live on the air. First of all, I'll say hello to the familiar faces here on the show today. We have Greg.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what that photo is behind you. I think I know what it is actually already. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. And we've got Mr. Johnny Mills down in the bottom right there.
How's everyone doing? How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, man. All good. Long time since I've seen you in person. When did we last see each other in person? Is it before Corona?
Yeah,
it's like literally the last show we did in person. But yeah, good to see you.
March,
Good to see you in the studio, or in the virtual studio. We have a returning guest who is hopefully now a consistent co-host of the show. He's backlit by the colour of his favourite club. His name is Tom Nuttall-Jones. How are you, Tom?
Not too bad. Slowly recovering from the weekend's events. How's it going?
As in the football events?
That's it.
Yeah. A painful one, I'm sure, as we're going to find out. And we have a debut on the show today. He's turned up wearing a bit of yellow there. What the yellow is for?
Just to reveal a little bit, you know, the boys. I thought I'd wear a blazer on top to be smart, and then a little something for the fans, you know.
Business in the front. We are joined by the one, the only Jonathan Boothie. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Avid listener, first time on the pod, so I'm excited to be here, man.
We're excited to have you. Yeah, so of course you are you're an Arsenal fan all your life?
All my life, no other team for me. No other team.
Best Arsenal player ever?
I'm going to weigh up between Henry or Ian Wright for me. Those are my 2 bad boys of the club.
Johnny Mills, are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, can't complain about that. I like to throw Dennis Bergkamp in there. I know Levi likes to throw shade. Likes to dare. He likes to dare put him in the same sentence as Bobby can't score a goal at home for Firmino. Dennis Bergkamp, absolute legend, man. Statues. When you got a statue, come on.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Big player. Right, so we have quite a few topics to get through in the hour today. I guess first topic that we've got here is a bit of a recap on last week. Last week we talked about Project Big Picture, this kind of blueprint to save Football League clubs that was led by Liverpool and Man United. We didn't really approve of it on the show last week. And Greg, you have an update on this. What happened this week to Project Big Picture?
In the mud, mate. Gone, isn't it? I don't know. It's weird. I think that it will rear its head again in some form. You know, these billionaires wanting to win. You know, if one set of billionaires don't win, another will do somewhere else. So I feel like this will kind of pop up again. But for now, it's sort of in the mud, and it's not what we're talking about at the moment. So yeah, we won. I mean, BTF, the right kind of people listen to it.
Social justice warriors. Yeah, Tom, is this the right decision? Are you against the proposals?
Yeah, I think when I heard about it at first, it was like 40-60 against. But then I think after you guys spoke about it on the pod, it was sort of hinted out, rumoured, revealed that as part of this sort of cards on the table from Liverpool and Man U, they had also hinted that they'd be willing to leave the Premier League. And then it just goes down to 0% for me. It's an empty threat because they should know that none of their own fans would approve of going into any sort of European Super League. Like, imagine Liverpool, we've just won the league, we've gone to 19 titles, Man United are on 20, and then we're like, we'll just knock it on the head, we'll just call that there, and just end our participation in the Football League with Man United one ahead, and just go and start something else. It's ludicrous. Even before that, I think the idea itself, it was always going to be knocked down because there was clearly some sort of ulterior motives, and sort of, you know, the kind of generosity of it was a bit of a front. But yeah, with this extra bit, it was just a complete non-starter for me, because like both Liverpool and Man United fans are just going to be like, well, we don't want to do that. So
yeah. If the clubs don't have the backing of their own fans, it's definitely a non-starter. Do you know if it was voted 18-2, or what was the actual final vote on it? Or was it just roundly? Was it 20-0? Did even Man United and Liverpool vote against themselves? I don't know. Greg's a research guy. I can see he's going to look that up. In the meantime, Boothie, I guess, lastly from you, because you weren't on the show last week either. Do you think there was any kind of good elements in the plan itself?
For me, I get the trying to help the EFL, because obviously those clubs right now are the ones struggling with the coronavirus pandemic, with obviously not fans being in the stadiums, the match day income and revenue is just low for them. But one aspect I really did agree with was scrapping the League Cup. I find that competition pointless, absolutely pointless. It's just a competition where big teams play with little kids, you know, just to get a team out. No one really cares about it unless you're Man City, who win it every year. So that's the only aspect I actually agreed with it, scrapping that competition. Waste of time.
John, you look like you had an opinion on that. Quickly throw in
No,
there.
yeah,
Last
I was
point on it.
I was gonna throw my opinion and go, you know, it gives an opportunity for, I mean, yeah, for other clubs to like get more game time, which means more revenue, etc. But to be fair, Levi, Boothie's got a point. Sorry. Don't
Should I go? Should I go? Should I? Yeah. I'll leave. Cheers, boys.
Oh shit! Sorry. So like Boothie said, man, over the last like 8 to 10 years, it's literally just been like the big boy show sort of thing, and they're not even getting there, are they? There's the smaller clubs, the Brentfords, you know, of the world. They're just not getting to the sort of the last four, really. It's few and far between, isn't it? So I don't know. I still think there is revenue for it, especially a little for some clubs, but yeah, I don't know. Jury's out on that one for me.
I wonder if perhaps there's a future in it where you take out the Champions League teams, perhaps, or the European football teams. I know obviously it is access to Europe in some ways. You know, if you win it, you get into Europe, but maybe that could be something put on the table in future, that if you're playing European football, just to kind of that congestion of fixtures and games and stuff. But I'm sure there'll be some clubs that would oppose that as well. Let's park that then with Project Big Picture. I'm sure there'll be a later pod where we'll be talking about something similar, or a kind of revised version of that. It's time then to get on to the big game, the Saturday lunchtime Merseyside derby, Everton and Liverpool. I mean, I think for me, this game lived up to the hype of the drama that I was expecting. I certainly couldn't have predicted the events of the game. Boothie, did you watch this?
Predict the score, which I did.
So John got the score
I got it right,
completely right.
3-2,
I had 3-2 to Liverpool, which, Tom, was that the correct score to predict?
Absolutely. No, it's very hard to take the late winner being struck off. You know, obviously when you think back to like the sort of mistakes, if you like, that VAR has made before, or at least offsides that maybe don't feel like they're in the spirit of the offside rule that have been ruled out by VAR in the past. You know, if there's been like an armpit or a toe offside, at least you could see kind of what they were basing it on. For this one, you just look at the picture and you just think, I just don't know what they were going for here. I just really can't see the bit of Mane that was sort of deemed to be offside, and the pass is definitely being made. It's all like within frame. Yeah, it's really, really gutting for that to happen in such a big game, especially with it might have taken the edge off, obviously, the big loss, which I'm sure we'll come to in a bit, getting the victory at least. But yes, it's mad. I think like when you think what the point of the offside rule was and when it was, why it was brought in, it's just like to stop goal hanging. And I think if you think back to before VAR, all the goals where the commentator would be like, oh, and the striker has like timed his run perfectly, like half of them would now be like struck off.
Yeah.
So it's tough to take. But obviously you just kick on and,
Yeah.
If it leads to change, then maybe it's a net positive, but it's got to be looked at when it's just so many people who've got like no investment in it. Random players who you wouldn't think have any sort of skin in the game tweeting out like what is going on.
Yes.
You can tell that they've made a massive error.
Yeah, I mean so the guy that made the mistake for that disallowed Henderson goal. I mean, they're saying it was a mistake. I think it was a pretty good save, but obviously he's parried it kind of into his own net. Jordan Pickford was involved in, I guess, the key moment of the game. It was in the first 10 minutes, I think. Well within the first 10 minutes. Yeah.
First 5, yeah.
He comes out, clatters Liverpool's best player, maybe the best player in the Premier League, Virgil van Dijk. At the time when the incident happened, did you guys think it was really, really serious? Did you think it could be an injury that would put someone out for a long time? John, I guess I'll come to you on that.
Boothie or John Miller?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, John Miller. I'll go Boothie and then John. You can be John.
I didn't watch the game live, so I didn't have an instant reaction.
Wrong person to come to then.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll throw it to Boothie quickly on this one.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what? Off initial reaction, I thought, all right, Van Dijk's a big guy. He's a unit, so I think he'd get up, shake it off and carry on. But when you saw him like on the floor, you saw him wincing a bit. I was like, ooh, this could be a little bit serious. And once you watch the replays, it just looked worse and worse and worse because Pickford just flung himself at Van Dijk. Rightly so, because he has to go for the ball. You know what I mean? It's part of the sport. But then once you see him hobble off, you're like, yeah, he's done. He's out for a few months at least. But now seeing that it's like 7-8 months apparently, it's a bad one. It's a bad one. You know what I mean?
It's interesting to get your opinion, Beef. Obviously, you're a goalkeeper yourself. So, is there, just looking at that, obviously you've seen it a few times. Is there anything you think you could have done differently, given the fact that you're a goalkeeper yourself?
You know what? Yeah, I've got to defend Pickford because at the end of the day, he's paid to
Goalkeepers Union.
You got to back us. You know what I mean? Because as he gets paid to do that kind of stuff, put himself on the line, like he has to risk himself as well, diving for the ball. Because if he doesn't do it, then Van Dijk gets an opportunity on goal. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I have to back him. And to be fair, he didn't deserve to get any retribution afterwards as well, because that's his job to make them kind of decisions and risky tackles. You know what I mean?
Is it one of those incidents where, because I think Van Dijk's leg was planted at the time, and I think, is it like I don't know whether it was a hyperextension or not, but like his right leg was planted and kind of locked into place. And I think there was one camera angle in particular. I think I only saw it once during the game, but it was the one kind of from the opposite side of the goal behind. And you actually see in slow motion, there's a moment where Van Dijk realizes how Pickford's coming out and probably realizes that he's just planted his leg. And there's almost like a moment of like, what are you doing, bro? Like this, you are going to hurt me here. And yeah, obviously like it has caused, a very, very substantial injury. Now, you mentioned, maybe 7 to 8 months. That's certainly going to cover pretty much the Premier League season. It will cover the season this year. So if he's out for the year, how much of a blow is that to Liverpool's hopes of kind of retaining the title? And I'll come to Spurs fan Greg on this one.
Well, when all of that happened, I threw quite an interesting statistic to you guys in the group chat. Liverpool have never played a Premier League game without Van Dijk. So I think that we're going
to... Since he's been there, yeah.
Very different. Since he signed, obviously, So it's going to be a very different setup. I think that definitely that back four, you can always... He's proven to be that player you can rely on. If a ball gets through the midfield, it's right, Virgil's on it. that dynamic goes now. I think it gets really difficult, and I think, you know, you're seeing a lot of the players on social media, even Alcantara, who's only been there a matter of weeks now, on social media. I think even just emotionally and mentally, it's a big impact on this squad. So I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think that a lot of teams, you know, you don't like to revel in an injury, of course, but you're going to see an opportunity with that.
Tom, is the checkbook likely to open in January?
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the transfer window, it looked like Liverpool were like keeping their checkbook closed. Obviously, we've signed a few players now, and then it sort of seemed to be leading to possibly getting linked to Koulibaly towards the end of the transfer window. He's obviously got the Sadio Mane connection with the national team. Obviously, nothing came of it, but I think obviously seeing how the next 2.5 months go, and then it's very possible. I mean, the problem is that Gomez and Matip are pretty injury prone themselves, and actually there has been some talk.
WWE moment here.
Yeah, there has been some talk of Matip picking up a slight injury and going for a scan today as well.
Wow.
So yeah, it seems unlikely that we haven't already thought about it, and we'll just see how the next couple of months go, both in terms of the form of Matip and Gomez. Probably Fabinho will end up playing quite a bit as well now, and then as well as their injuries. I don't think Van Dijk plays again this season. Even, you know, probably April you're looking at as the earliest that he could be coming back. But I think either we've got nothing to play for, in which case why bother risking him, or if we've still got something to play for, that suggests that like his replacements have done all right. Yeah. In which case just keep him in. And I think he'll obviously have one eye on the Euros as well. If he won't want to rush back and kind of
aggravate something.
Yeah, exactly. Not be able to play in that. I mean, fair play. A massive player like that, you want him. You want to. I'm sure Klopp as well. He's always got like, it's not just like Liverpool. He always gives like the players, their personal wishes and stuff. So, I think we'll see what happens. But I could definitely see us signing someone major. In January.
It would be interesting because obviously, Van Dijk probably out, significant January signings, and you think in the history since there's been that January transfer window, Van Dijk's certainly up there. Maybe I think AGUERO came in January as well when he first came to City, but Koulibaly not having any Premier League experience up to this point, it would be a very good test of his quality to see if he could just slot into a team.
Come straight in
halfway through the season, but I'm sure probably slotting into that team might be a little bit easier than some others. So Levi, hello and welcome to the show. You've been.
Look what time it is.
I'm always one to make an entrance, and I didn't think it was fair that I left Tom on his own while I left him with all of the weird London club supporters. So I thought I'd come support him and not leave
Thanks,
him alone.
Mate. Appreciate it. Joining me in the pit of despair.
I think, have you caught all of the discussion so far, Levi?
You know what? I caught the most important part about the Virgil van Dijk discussion, making sure that no one was talking any smack, basically. And I just wanted to make sure of that. But I was most worried about Boothie, actually, but he actually stayed in line. And Greg made sure he stayed in line as well, because there's not very much he can say after the weekend that Spurs have had, but
Absolutely no need. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you.
I did, one thing I did wonder with, if, so Pickford, there's been a lot of sort of ex-players and stuff coming out today and goalkeepers union and stuff saying, no player goes out there intentionally to hurt another player. How much do you think in the Premier League, though, there's a culture of, be rough on someone early in the game to kind of send a message? Because I think it was within the first 30 seconds, Van Dijk went in quite hard on James Rodriguez in a 50-50. And I think and then I think he had another challenge on either Alan or one of the other midfielders. Maybe it was Richarlison, but I think Van Dijk kind of started the game quite aggressively in terms of like he was out there to kind of boss that game. I do wonder, is that something that a goalkeeper like Pickford would pick up that energy, and then I'm not saying he targeted him, but is that something that a player might reciprocate if they see another player doing it? And Boothie, I guess, particularly would a goalkeeper do that?
Yeah, 100%. If you see a centre back going hard in the player, it'll get you riled up. You know what I mean? You get a bit hyper, especially in a derby game as well. It's a massive game for the Scouse lot. So, and especially Pickford as well. Pickford is, what's the word I'm looking for? Erratic. All that, yeah. So I think he's kind of guy would definitely pick off the vibe and go a bit harder than he has to be. But like I said earlier, he's doing his job. You know what I mean? He doesn't make that challenge. Van Dijk scores. You know what I mean? So that's it. It's football, isn't it? That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to cut in there just because.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There's the argument there that we're almost justifying Van Dijk's strong challenges that, if they were obviously endangering opponents, would have been penalised. For Pickford being almost to have some sort of justification as to why a challenge of that nature comes in. Quite frankly, there's a difference. I would like to outline a difference between a strong challenge and a completely reckless challenge. Pickford came in way above, almost at knee height, and quite frankly, whether or not he's reading the game, the big derby game, and whether or not it's just football, the argument remains the same. He should have been sent off. I think personally, he should still face retrospective action. Probably not going to happen, but I just think it sets a precedent for what we come to expect. And this is the argument that a lot of football fans have. Refereeing decisions have no consistency. And the sooner they get consistency, the less people will moan. And that's the bottom line. Should have been sent off. Going forward, challenges like that, are they now acceptable? And the answer is, quite frankly, going to be no. So I just think there should be some sort of retrospective action and challenges like that. Full stop. I don't care. Derby game or not. Unacceptable.
But it wasn't deliberate, though. You know what I mean? He was going for the ball. He wasn't going for Van Dijk. You know what I mean?
Deliberate or not, a red card, endangering another opponent, just because you turn around and said, "Oh, I've done it by accident," doesn't mean that we're suddenly going to be like, "Oh, it's all right, Pickford. Nothing's going to happen to you now because you didn't mean it." Bottom line, reckless challenge, and it should be a red card.
So you mentioned there as well, like messages being sent out. I think one of the messages sent out was that, if it's offside, you can do whatever you want. Like, as long as it's offside, you can
Fair game.
Yeah, it's fair game. But I think yeah, there's some large inconsistencies. Quickly then, Levi, last point on this, because you weren't in for the first bit. Thoughts on the Henderson disallowed winner?
I genuinely, like when that happened, I think my blood reached boiling point, and I don't think any other Liverpool fan felt any differently. Bottom line is, I think the game's lost it with what is offside and what's not, whether we're giving the attacker the advantage anymore or if we're not. What part of Mane is actually offside, I don't know, whether it's the back of his T-shirt or like some of the numbers off the peeling off his back. I really don't know. I don't know what the VAR technologist, whoever it was doing. I just don't know. And I just think the less said about it, the better, because I think we can go round and round in circles for days and we'd never get anywhere. But VAR rules are weird. Bottom line should be is if it's not clear and obvious, then I think the attacker should get the advantage. And I don't think that was clear and obvious where they could actually rule out a goal. So I think the ruling on the pitch should have stood and it should have been awarded a goal. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I still sorry.
Little violin for Levi.
I still stand by that. I think that the technology should be better in terms of, the cameras that they use for like tracking the 100 meters at the Olympics, and those cameras that literally are on like a dolly, like along the side of the pitch. There should be like a camera that just tracks the ball and always has like a perfect line across, because every time we see one of these offsides, the camera's at like a weird angle, like it's a static camera that's there for the whole game. I know that they're using rough, Hawkeye measurement type things, but I don't know. I just think it would be a better fan experience to actually see that perfect picture down the line. But I don't know. I'm sure that's something that they'll probably be thinking about working on, or whether they'll have in future, like, players will actually have kind of points on their jerseys or something that work in the same way as the goal line technology at the moment. And
I just think
you think it takes a lot out of the game.
Getting into the fine margins of the game, and I just think if it's not clear and obvious by a video, like the video referee, then it should be awarded, and the goal should be given. I've had enough of these hairline offsides. They're just honestly ridiculous. It's not clear and obvious. The attacker gets the advantage. Let's keep the rules as simple as possible, and let's keep the rules as they have been for predominantly a lot of the time, where you can almost run it in line with VAR and for it to still be effective, so it's not called into question so many times. Give the attacker the advantage and award a goal if it's not clear and obvious.
Yeah, there needs to be daylight between. Sorry, I was going to say.
Sorry, mate.
Daylight is what they should be looking for, really.
Definitely.
If there's no daylight between the last defender and the striker, I think it should be onside.
Yeah, Tom?
I agree. I think the point that I repeatedly see about VAR is we've created a sport where we have fewer goals from open play and more goals from penalties. And, like, is that what anyone wants? Almost certainly not. Probably spread betters for penalties only would be happy with it, and everyone else is it's a worse game. It's a less enjoyable game.
Well, fans are celebrating less because you're waiting for 5 minutes to see if it's going to go to VAR and get it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen goals in Germany which has had VAR for a few years, where a guy got sent through one-on-one with a keeper, and he had like an entire half of the pitch to run through. Rounds the keeper, slots it in, and all his teammates are following him, and he's like, "Whoa, let's wait," and he's not even celebrating. So, like, how is that a benefit? I mean, it's ludicrous. I mean, I've never been a fan of VAR for that reason. You know, I think if I went to a game and it was 1-0, but my like chance to celebrate got tempered by the fact that I had to wait for VAR, that's almost a wasted afternoon. So it's worse for the fans in the ground. It's worse for the players almost, because they're not being able to celebrate or get the full emotion of it. And I've never been a big fan of it, but at least if it was getting the decisions right, you could see the argument for it. But it's not even doing that. It's never. I think it's something that we've got to live with, but it needs to be improved massively.
Yep, I agree. We'll move on then from the Merseyside derby, and we will travel down is it M1 or M2 to London and talk about particularly Chelsea, Spurs and Arsenal's respective results this weekend. The first one of those, I guess, was Chelsea on Saturday, the game that followed the 2-2 draw between Everton and Liverpool. This game, Chelsea got off to an amazing start. Were they 3-0? Was it 3-0?
No, it was 2-0.
Yeah, Timo Werner got the first two goals. Okay. What happened in this game? Did anyone catch this game live? I think this was one of the paid matches. This was the first $14.95 game of the weekend. All right, so no one saw it live, but I was tracking the goals. I saw these, both Werner's goals were pretty good. One of them was kind of marginal handball, I think, the one where he chipped it over the goalie. But yeah, they end up drawing 3-3 at home. It's a shame John Aldinho's not here to defend his Blues or lay into them. He may, but what's wrong with Chelsea is there's some defensive frailties in Frank Lampard's team. Levi, we'll take something from you on this one.
I just think it says it all about a club like Chelsea. I think they got a bit too excited in the transfer window. They got excited in the transfer window. They had the transfer ban implemented, and they brought in a granddad in Thiago Silva to come and play a young man's game. And I just think their defensive frailties will never be cleared up until they actually sign and implement a solid back four that are not past their best. Quite frankly, Aspilicueta's getting on. He's coming onto his last legs. Thiago Silva's coming onto his last legs. let's freshen it. Chelsea should freshen it up and have back four that they know that they can rely on week in, week out. They don't have that. They've got no consistency. And yeah, that's Chelsea's issue. I think I should manage, really.
I wouldn't go that far.
You know what I mean?
I wouldn't go that far.
John Ardino's in the chat, and he reckons that Lampard doesn't know how to tactically coach defending. And he also got a player that Liverpool were trying to get in. He's firing a shot at Levi and Tom, to be fair.
Shock.
Yeah, I agree with the point about Lampard. I think that I don't really rate him that much. There's not really a lot to go on with him.
He's always like, he's coaching like how I would coach my under-12s. It's kind of like, you kind of set up the defense, but because they're kids, you don't give them much information. And every game is like 5-4, 3-2. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just about them going out there and having fun. It's almost like he says, all right, lads, just go out there and have fun. Because they're trying to score a load of goals. But yeah, like Levi said, defensively, they've got no structure. It's just a bit crazy. I don't know why Reece James isn't starting week in, week out. Like,
he's still young though. You know what I mean? He's still a kid, Reece James. You can't play him week in, week out. You gotta let him play a couple games, then come back out the team.
Azpilicueta was shown, especially through lockdown, like he aged over the lockdown.
Unreal.
I know the feeling.
Boothie, I'm not sure if I agree with that point of resting Reece James, because I think if Liverpool had taken that stance with Alexander-Arnold, then he wouldn't have been the player that he is now. Yeah. I think it's really like trying to pinpoint when the players. It's about man management, really, knowing your players. And quite frankly, the issue I have with Frank Lampard is that I think he's gone a bit too big for his boots too early. He hasn't won anything. He hasn't really done much, but he thinks that top four finish last season was a trophy win, and he's getting in arguments with every manager on the touchline, whether it's managers who made him in Mourinho or whether it's managers who have achieved 10 times what he's done in Klopp. I just think Lampard needs to actually relax and get back to the basics and actually manage the team, because I think what we're doing as well is we're taking a lot away from Southampton, who I think had a brilliant second half.
Yeah.
And I think one of the players that should be given a lot of praise was actually Theo Walcott, because for me, in that whole game, he was the outstanding performer. He was almost involved in every good thing that Southampton had to do, and ultimately he was involved in the third goal that clinched them the draw. But Lampard is an issue at Chelsea, and I don't see him, if things don't change, surviving until the end of the season.
I agree. Actually, I think the dream will die, and I can't wait for it to happen for Chelsea.
They spent a lot of money. I mean, they've got some world-class players. I just think a better manager would just get them to just gel a lot more quicker. You know, get them. I mean, they got Havertz. They got Werner. They're attacking. Kante's still in there. Like they're attacking players. You know, and you've got Chilwell on one flank, and Reece James on the other. I mean, the centre backs. Yeah, they probably should. You know, play some other centre backs, but. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, their goalkeeper's dodgy as hell, isn't he? I just think.
Did the new guy get injured? Mendy? Is he?
Yeah.
He's out injured already.
Yeah.
Did he pick that up on international duty, or was that in Chelsea training or something, or is it in a game?
I think it was Chelsea training. I think I heard.
Right.
It was in training.
Nah, Pickford clattered him.
Turned up outside his house, just 2-footed him through the letterbox. All right, Tom. Last thoughts then on Lampard.
Yeah, I think Lampard gets a bit of an easy ride because he's got his cousin on Sky Sports every weekend. Not like saying anything bad about him. Obviously, you know, everyone knows his dad in the media as well. He's like, you know, not that he's managing now, but don't want to upset him just in case he's like QPR manager down the road or something, and you need a scoop off him.
Wait, his cousin's dad or his dad?
No, his cousin, so, obviously Redknapp, and then his uncle, like John Aldinho said, like they probably didn't expect to sign Werner this summer, and then suddenly became available because Liverpool decided not to sign him. And that's not me like bigging up like, oh, you know, he would never be there if it wasn't for Liverpool not wanting him. But that seems to have been what happened, and that's probably skewed their business a bit too much towards the attacking sense, and they've not. And then at the last minute, they've sort of again had a look and thought, "Oh, Thiago Silva's available." Kind of, this is a bit niche, but it kind of reminds me of when Liverpool were going in 2005. They signed Pellegrino from Valencia, and he'd been in 2 Champions League finals, and he'd like won the La Liga with Valencia as well. But he was like, in terms of on the pitch, completely past his best, but he was a decent dressing room presence.
Yeah.
The thing is, Chelsea needed someone who was decent on the pitch too. So, the jury's still out on him. He might still have it for the Premier League, but to be honest, they needed someone who was a guarantee for that position, because that's their huge weakness. And in terms of definitely set pieces, obviously none of the defense trust Kepa. They've kind of, we'll see what Mendy's like. They've kind of addressed that a little bit, but set pieces, they're absolutely diabolical, and they need someone to sort that out at the back. And yeah, Thiago might be that guy, but I think it kind of stems back from them signing Werner, which kind of fell into their lap. It skewed their business. And they'll probably, it suddenly seems to, like, Abramovich is like, his interests kind of over the last couple of transfer windows or past couple of seasons, there's been some doubts about whether his heart's still in it. But obviously this summer, that's kind of blown that theory out the water. And so we'll see if they get to January, they're still in a sort of top 4 race. I can see them spending even more.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, they're obviously not the finished product.
Yeah.
I can
sorry, John. You
just say really quick.
Oh no,
really quickly about I think we've spoken a lot about Chelsea, but not so much about Southampton. And there's probably one player that I want to pick out as well in Che Adams, and I think Ralph Hasenhüttl has done really well at managing Che Adams. He came into the team with high expectations. And he'd never quite hit the ground running. And I think he's now starting to repay the manager's faith, and actually starting to crop up in brilliant hold-up play, bringing in Ings really well. And as you saw, brilliant assist as well for Ings' goal. And I just think he's going to be one to watch going forward now. That will really actually link up quite well with the likes of Theo Walcott and Danny Ings, and actually start seeing the best of what Che Adams has to offer. Because I think him, Walcott, and Ings really are driving forces behind that comeback against Chelsea.
Yep. No, completely agree. We're getting on for time. Greg, you're probably happy about that because there's less time to talk about Spurs. What happened this weekend? That was going very well, and then suddenly it all blew up.
That's football, baby.
Yeah,
that's football. I think if ever there was a time to expect like an outcome like that, it would be this season. Like the season's just mental. The result, it doesn't surprise me. We played brilliantly for the first half an hour, brilliant football, but West Ham looked keen. We didn't kill them. We didn't kill the game off, and we've seen Jose talk about that a lot. And we took the foot off the gas, and credit to West Ham. Like it was, no one can tell me that their goalkeeper stops that last goal. It was brilliant. We took a foot off the gas. I mean, it highlights the issues that we have defensively. It doesn't take away any of the attacking force we have. It's still brilliant, but that defense needs work. Sanchez, Harry Winks, they're boys. We need men at the back really to be able to take charge and stop that kind of thing from happening. I think personally, like, I feel sorry for Bale more than anything. I mean, I can't. This is an emotional moment for me to see him back in the shirt. Let me have that moment, but it puts a massive black mark on his second debut, and he should have been putting that goal away when it could have gone to 4-2.
Yeah.
He needs to put that away. There's no question. I can't defend him on that. But I think the response is going to be more important. Let West Ham have their cup final, let them have the moment, because we're going to have plenty more this season. And if any man is going to rally the team, I think Jose's got this, and I think it highlights the error, and we know where to move forward. So it happens.
I think it says a lot about where the Premier League is at in terms of the standard, that there's 3 three teams this weekend, and you know, none of them are maybe Man City you throw into that as well as a title contender. Three teams that have had a draw this weekend, and it's kind of end of the world result really. In Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool. The Premier League really is a you must win every week now. The standard is that high, and the points tallies at the end have been so high of the last couple of seasons. Arsenal. Let's talk about Arsenal. Oh, actually, last point was how were people kind of impressed with Gareth Bale for starters? Do you think he showed kind of glimpses that he's still kind of superstar Gareth Bale, or do we think?
I mean, I was impressed with his skill. He got obviously to get in that position. He had some good touches, but I will say there was a counter attack, and he looked like he was putting on the gas, and it looked like he's lost a couple of yards, and that could be just age, or it could just be that he hasn't played consistently for a while. But I'll be definitely looking for the next Spurs game to see, because obviously Spurs play really good counter-attacking football, and I'm sure he'll start. Yeah. I'll be definitely looking out for that, because he definitely looked a little bit slower than I'm used to seeing him in a Spurs shirt and a Real Madrid shirt, for sure.
Yeah,
he's definitely. I mean, in his first interview, he admitted that he's lost a little bit of pace since he was last here, and I think because he is just fresh off of an injury, there might be a little bit of. So he might just be a little bit, tentative with it, and. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think in the next couple of games, we'll definitely see him flourish.
Does he start the next game, Greg?
I hope so, because Bergwijn was pretty poor. I've seen him play a lot better. He sort of fell out. And I think Lamella is knocked. He's got an injury. So this Thursday, maybe even we might see Bale start. But I don't know, we'll see.
Who's your next game?
It's a Europa League fixture.
Linz, ASK, whoever they are.
Can we just really quickly not let Greg get away with his comment that he made yesterday at 3-0, saying that Tottenham are going to win the league? There's no way I'm letting you get away with that. There's no way.
Look, for the moment, you can't not. This is the VAR discussion. You can't not celebrate these things. If we score, we're jumping up. That's what's happening. We're winning the lot. You know what I mean? I still stand by it. We can. That's the point. You got to enjoy it, man.
Spurs.
It's a draw. It's a draw. We can survive it. If it was 4-3, my camera would be on the other side of the fucking room, mate.
It's just Spurs being Spurs. That's what it is. Spurs just being Spurs.
22.
Did you see that clip going around of the Tottenham fan TV saying Spurs are back? I don't know what back is.
Yeah.
Apparently we were back at 3-0 up.
22 goals scored in the last three games that Spurs have played. That's a 7-2, a 6-1, and a 3-all. So
Jesus. There's
certainly value for money. Quick throwback to last week as well with the 1495 games. And talking of goals scored, the early game today, Burnley and West Brom played out to all of those paying viewers as a 0-0. Unexpected 0-0 there. We thought that'd be an absolute blockbuster. And an update just coming into half time on the Leeds Wolves game is 0-0. So we'll be looking forward to the second half of that. So far, 135 minutes played of Monday Night Football and not a single goal. That brings us on to then the last I mean, there's other London clubs we can talk about. There's other London clubs I could talk about, but it's not even worth it on this show. Yet. We'll wait till we got at least 3 points before we'll talk about them. So Arsenal took on Man City. Boothie, I know you watched this one. You're excited, and John Miller, you were watching this as well.
Yep.
How'd it play out?
Go on, Booth.
You know what? I'm not disappointed by the performance. I think we played very well. I was disappointed by the result because I feel like Man City were there for the taking. They're still about 2 weeks behind everyone else in terms of match fitness and stuff. So they're there for the taking. And we had some opportunities to score a goal, but just wouldn't get in the back of the net. Anytime we got in behind City, Edison was there, or the final pass wasn't quite there. So not much you can say. You know what I mean? Like, it was a good game to watch, to be honest, but we're just not clicking in the final third yet, if I'm being honest, to be honest. Yeah.
I'm a little bit. I'm not massively disappointed in the result. I mean, in the performance, but I am a bit disappointed because I feel like with no De Bruyne, and you know the way like Boothie said, they're not firing all cylinders at the moment. You saw the way how Leicester dealt with them. You saw the way how Leeds really pushed them close and got a draw. I think a draw or a win was in
Yeah.
Arsenal's hands. I think he hasn't got it wrong a lot, and you can't complain. We won the FA Cup and stuff. We got into Europa League when it looked like when he took over that we were just so far away from that. But I think he made a mistake. I think he got his selection wrong. I think Thomas Partey should have started. You could see when he came on, he was driving through the midfield with pace. He wasn't looking to pass the ball sideways. And I think without De Bruyne in there and stuff, I think if he started Thomas Partey, I don't know why he didn't start him. It's not
You can understand though.
He's been playing.
Yeah, but he's
Um,
just come back from Africa with Ghana. His first session was on Thursday with us. They travelled up Friday night, so he had one session with the boys, and he's flown all the way from Ghana. That's not a short flight, you know what I mean? So I understand why he didn't start.
I mean, he's in the squad, right? So he's on the bench. So I mean, at least give him 20 minutes. You gave him
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
minutes. Like you did give him at least 20 minutes. Also, as well, it's also the psychological thing. He's a big player. He's a big signing. He's a player that Arsenal wanted. It was talked about. We don't know what that could have psychologically done for Arsenal, but also for Man City. It's not like they play against him week in, week out, and they know what he's about. They could have maybe retreated a little bit, maybe approached things slightly differently. I just think it was just a missed opportunity. I think at least throw him on after 65 minutes. Really, if he's fit enough to be on the squad and even get on for 8 minutes, he's definitely fit enough for 20, in my opinion. And I think that was just a little bit of a mistake. I just think he had a little bit of a Wenger about him, Arteta, just reacting too late. I definitely think that game was there for the taking, especially in the last sort of 20 minutes or so. I think we should have really gone for it, took a leaf out of Leeds' book, and just really gone for the throat. Because I can see Man City taking a few beatings throughout the rest of the season from unexpected teams going forward. And I just think Arsenal were too tentative. They gave them too much respect.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was a psychological thing where we haven't beaten a top 6 team in like 29 games or something like that. It was definitely a psychological thing there with that. But I just think he should have just gone for it, man. If it was me, I would have just threw everyone forward and said, look, you're losing 1-0. Like if you lose 2-1, no one, or 2-0, no one was expecting you to win anyway. You might as well just gone for it and really, really put them under pressure. And I think we missed the opportunity.
Yeah. Tom, would you have started Thomas Partey?
I think it's one of those things where like it's hard to criticize unless you've spent the training session with him, been behind the scenes. I can definitely, obviously, from our point of view and from an Arsenal fans point of view, you want to see like a new signing play. And having lost as well, you got the frustration, but you just don't know. Like he might have literally just said, "I'm not ready." You just don't know. Obviously, like the way he played when he came on, kind of suggests maybe he would have been ready. But again, like 90 minutes, you don't want to take
as well.
Yeah, you don't want to take that risk with a player who like you might have to bring off a half time, and then you lost one. I know you've got more subs obviously this season, but you lost one of your subs. Your game plan's a bit skew, and when you're playing City, like the game plan is everything. Like you've been spending the whole 2 weeks like preparing the tactics and how he's going to play. So, it's one game, and it's probably as frustrating for you guys that when he's come on, he's done well. I think, oh, why couldn't we've had 90 minutes of that? But yeah, it's just one of those.
Yeah. There was another incident in this game involving this is kind of the thing that I actually missed the game, and then when I looked up the highlights or the what was kind of trending at the time around this game, it wasn't anything to do with the result. It was the moment with Sergio Aguero grabbing the back of the neck of the assistant referee Sean Macy. There's a double barrel thing in there. I don't know her second thing, but yeah, he grabbed her by the back of the neck. Now, gender aside, is that something that should be happening in the Premier League? Should players be touching officials? I guess, John, I'll probably come to you on this as you manage it at grassroots level. If one of your players did that to a referee, what would happen?
Well, I think at grassroots level, there's definitely less. They're less pedantic.
They can't reach.
Pulling on the shorts. I mean, I must say, no player I've ever coached over the last 10 years has ever put their hands on the referee. So, but I have seen enough Premier League games to see that people have been sent off for it before, sort of thing. Yeah. I just think take the gender aside. Yeah, I think that was out of order. You can't be putting your hands on the referee in no way. So he probably should have got sent off. And I'm not just saying that because it would have skewed the game or Arsenal could have won, because I didn't actually. I was kind of half watching the game, so I didn't actually see the incident at the time, sort of thing. So just on retrospect, I think people have been sent off for that before. So you'd like to see a bit of consistency there.
Yeah. Greg, you mentioned that there'd been some sort of odd reactions to this online and sort of some strange opinions flying around.
Yeah, it's really weird. There's a lot of, I mean, we all know how toxic football Twitter is. I don't need to go into a run about that as a whole, but yeah, there's a really weird reaction to it. I mean, I think that get your fucking hands off a assistant referee or referee. Like, Aguero has been in this game long enough to sort of know that you don't really interfere with that, because female, male, or whatever, and however it's intimidation in a sense, isn't it? A little bit. If you put, it's that kind of thing. And I think that you have to ask, not to bring gender into it too much, but you have to ask if he would have done that if it was a male assistant referee. Yeah, I just think it's fucking inappropriate. It's not really there, and I don't see what the debate is. Yeah. If there is such a thing, just don't do it. Regardless of if you think it's important she's a woman or not. Like, there's a boundary with it, you know what I mean, with sports. You just don't do it. You've seen managers and footballers sent off for raising their voice at the referee. So this is, one step further of that. So yeah, I definitely think that there should be at the very least an investigation into it. Yeah.
Levi, you agree?
I think what the issue is that the Premier League and everyone's almost a bit fearful of putting too much onus on gender, and I think understandably so, and that's not the issue in itself. I just think a blanket rule where you just it is common sense, not coming into any physical contact with an official should be the bottom line, and if it does occur, then it should be punished, because then what that does is that it avoids any confusion.
Dipped out. Boothie, we'll come to you on it quickly.
I just think, like, end of story, should not put your hands on an official. I remember a couple of years ago, Arsenal played United in FA Cup, and Di Maria got booked for diving. Then, like, 10 seconds later, he grabbed Mac Oliver's shirt. Mac Oliver looked at him, gave him a dirty look, threw out the yellow card, boom, red card, send him off. Simple as that. You don't touch the official. There needs to be some boundary between the players and the official in terms of respect. You know what I mean? They're trying to look after you, trying to manage the game, trying to look after you, make sure you're doing all right. Don't disrespect them by putting your hands on them. You know what I mean? It's just not acceptable in today's game. Simple as that.
I'm not sure if did I freeze?
Yeah. Froze just near the end of I think you're probably your last sentence or so.
Mad.
Your final point.
But yeah. No, it's fine.
And yeah, Tom, we'll just get your thoughts quickly on this. Are you pretty much in agreement with everyone?
Yeah, I think, that is, as everyone said, that's the main point. Like, don't put your hands on an official. I think the attention that it's got is probably the thing that I disagree with, because I think if Aguero had done that to just put his arm on the neck or shoulder of a male linesman, probably Twitter would have hardly mentioned it, unless maybe some Arsenal fans saying not particularly because it's Arsenal, but some Arsenal fans saying oh, why couldn't he have been sent off for that kind of thing? Yeah. But I think the reaction to it was increased on Twitter because it was obviously was a female assistant, and I think that's what I don't agree with, because we have seen players put their hands on the referee in that manner, or assistant in that manner before, and nothing really gets. Sometimes something gets said about it, sometimes it doesn't. I think if he's like putting his hand on the small of her back or something like that, that's a different story. But I think there was no difference in the way that he did it and to how we've seen it done to like male officials before.
Yeah.
So I think it did. I think it got blown out of proportion to an extent. But having said that, it shouldn't be done. It's just more the attention that it's got. You say like, would it have had this attention if it had been a male official? Probably not, even though it should.
Yeah.
If I can just really quickly
Yep.
just finish off my point that I was saying, because it leads on from what Tom just said. I think going forward, if we are going to have more female officials coming into the game, a situation like this creates a lot of Anfield Road's just gone. A lot of
In more ways than one.
a lot of that situation and the amount of media attention it's got would have caused a lot of discomfort amongst, I think, female officials. And I think going forward, if we are going to roll out having more female officials, which I'd encourage, in the men's Premier League football game, then as a blanket rule, just no touching the official, and that's the bottom line.
Nice. All right, that brings us on to our last point. Then we are fast approaching 9 o'clock. So what we'll do, Champions League returns tomorrow. Obviously, Europa League as well is back on. Is back this week. So we won't go hugely into detail on this. All I want is a prediction from each person here on the pod for who they think will lift the Champions League next year in May. I'm guessing the final will still be in May. So I'm going to go first. I'll work from bottom right, and then we'll go across to top left after. So Levi first. Who's going to win the Champions League this year?
I wish I wasn't first. I'm tempted to go for Bayern Munich again. As bad as that is as a Liverpool fan, I want to say Liverpool, but I just think Bayern Munich are consistent and they have the firepower to retain the trophy.
Okay, nice. Johnny Mills?
Yeah, I agree with everything what Levi said, but I'm just going to throw PSG in there just because kind of reminiscent of when Liverpool got to the final and got sort of beaten by Madrid. I think maybe PSG, they've got the firepower, they've got the players, their league's not that taxing, and they might have the bit between their teeth and could kind of do a Liverpool and come back. And, retaining the Champions League is quite tough. So, I'm going to go PSG.
Okay. Boothie?
I can't look past Bayern Munich, if I'm being honest. The firepower is ridiculous. You've got Gnabry, Coman, Sane now added to that, Douglas Costa, Lewandowski, Müller, and the big man himself, Choupo-Moting as well. You know what I mean? So you've got some world-class players there going forward. So you know what I mean? Especially Chuba. So it has to be Bayern Munich for me.
Yeah. Okay. Tom, are you going to back Liverpool?
Well, I'd love to see Liverpool get to the final, our spiritual home in Istanbul, which is where the final is this year. I mean, I just got the favourites in front of me. Like, I'm surprised that we're still third favourites. Considering obviously what happened at the weekend. Actually, Man City are, it's about even. There's like fours for Man City and Bayern.
Yeah.
I'll go for an outside bet of Juventus. They're always there or thereabouts, and they're usually among the favourites, and they've always had that sort of slip up moment. It's obviously there are probably closer favourites than them, but as much as I'd hate to see Ronaldo win another one, you can't rule them out while he's there. To be honest, he has shown it time and time again. I think the two Spanish sides are kind of going through a bit of a transition at the moment. Like Barca especially just look completely out of the picture. Just what's going on behind the scenes. Outside shout of Juve Liverpool final.
Okay, nice. It's me next on the order. So, I mean, what I would actually quite like to see Barcelona win it, because presumably this is Messi's last season there. I don't think it's going to happen for basically everything previously mentioned there by Tom, it's probably not the right year. They're not really set up for it. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Man City, and I don't think Man City are going to, I think Man City might not even get in the top 2 in the Premier League this year. But I do think that Pep is going to throw absolutely everything at the Champions League, and then if he was to win it, I think he'd actually just dip the following season. I think that's all he kind of wants now, is just Champions League trophy with Man City on his resume, and then I think he's done. He'll take a sabbatical for a while, and then he'll come back and manage the Spanish national team.
Shouldn't even be in it.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah.
There is that argument. So yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Man City. But I mean, I completely agree. Like, how can you look past Bayern? They're an incredible team. They've lost obviously some players over the summer, but they've gained some as well. So yeah, Greg, last up.
Yeah, you taking the wind out of my sails there, Man City.
Yeah.
I reckon Pep's got a point to prove. I think they're going to want to, especially after last season's not banned. I think they're going to want to shake shit up, and yeah, I fancy them for it.
Cool. All right. And this part of the show is probably going to be chaos because we've got to try and do the social media roundup, which kind of just quickly recaps everything in the show. What I think we'll do is we'll just get like one person's opinion on each thing here. Try and get it to a minute. There's no way we're going to get this all in a minute, but I will throw topics out to different people. We'll probably go in a sort of a zigzag thing. Levi, I'll try and come to you on the Liverpool situation. So here we go. So this is the BTF 53 social media roundup. First up, we have big picture in the bin. We're going to come to Greg on this one.
Fuck billionaires.
There we go. That's short and sweet on that one. Pickford versus Van Dijk. Was it right? I'm going to come to Boothie and Levi on this one. First up, Boothie, will go to you. Goalkeepers Union.
Pickford, the man, the myth, the legend. That's all I've got to say.
And then over to Levi.
Categorically wrong. Endangering another player. Pickford should face retrospective action and should at least get a 3-game ban.
And then quickly, actually, let's just get a shout out that from Tom as well, the other Liverpool fan on the pod.
Don't think it was deliberate, but he's an absolute donkey. And the whistle had gone when Richarlison got sent off, so I don't know why why Pickford couldn't have got sent off for a similar challenge when the whistle had also gone.
There we go. Next up, we've got London clubs in the mud. First up, we had Chelsea blowing a lead against Southampton. John Miller, will come to you on this one. Can Frank Lampard manage defensively?
Yeah, no, he's struggling a little bit defensively. Team selection, he's struggling. Transfer window, struggling. I think Chelsea fans have either got to have patience and give him time, or yeah, he's got to go in the bin because it ain't really working at the moment.
Nice. Next up, we had Spurs throwing away a 3-0 lead. Greg, I'll spare you the blushes on this one. I'll go to Boothie. Boothie, what happened here? And was Gareth Bale as impressive as we expected him to be?
What can you say about Spurs? It's literally Spurs being Spurs, you know what I mean? Giving their fans a bit of hope and just letting them die softly. So yeah, but on Bale looked...
I realise I've come to an Arsenal fan here to give a
exactly, man. I love this. Bale, happy to see him back. He's a great player when he left. He looked okay, but he does look a couple games short. So hopefully he comes back to his best. Greg,
these things happen in the Premier League?
That's football, baby.
Okay. Next subject, I guess we've got the 1-0 win for Man City over Arsenal.
No Thomas, no party.
No Thomas, no party. Yeah, Greg, should Thomas Partey have started that game?
Before this podcast, I probably would have said yes, but after Boothie's information there, probably sensible. I think that he's got a lot to deliver, and just be patient. He'll pay off.
Yeah, like that. Our last point, or actually second to last point, was the AGUERO controversy. So putting his hand on the back of the female assistant referee. Levi, take on this?
If we're trying to get more female officials into the game, then blanket rule to say no touching of officials and should be penalised at every opportunity.
Cool. Yeah, I think that was pretty much the view across the board on that one. And then finally, we gave our Champions League predictions for who's going to win it this year. But we'll keep those out of this little segment, so you will have to actually watch the full show if you want to find out who we're backing to lift the trophy this year. So that brings to a close episode 53 of the BTF podcast. We've run 9 minutes over, but hey, it's all extra content. Greg, thank you for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
Boothie, thanks. Have you enjoyed your debut show?
Bro, it's been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to be back next week.
Johnny Mills, big plans for the week?
Birthday tomorrow. I'm going away.
Oh,
I'm
40.
going. I just hope it's in tier 1.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Where are you going? Spain.
Oh God, I wish. No, not a clue. Not a clue. It's a surprise.
Nice. Levi, you joined us late, but you did bring your A game when you turned up.
I brought something to the table, but yeah, always a pleasure as always, and I'll be back again next week.
Yeah, good stuff. And Tom, thanks for joining us. And were you glad to have some support on the Liverpool side from Levi eventually on the show today?
Nice to be back. Yeah, nice to have some solidarity and fuck the Ev.
There we go. That is the end of the show. Thanks for watching.